Hi there, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of this series we've been doing. We've been doing this for over 30 days now, and it's been interesting. At least that's what I think. Uh, One thing I'll appreciate from you guys if you let us know how, in any way, this has helped you. We need, real life testimonies. If there's any of this information you put into practice, send us a DM, send us a message. We would like to be encouraged by how this has, really been of help to you. It will really go a long way. So today we'll be having two photographers that I respect a lot, two that are doing very well. First is Mr. Buddy Lawson. Mr. Buddy Lawson is one of the photographers that I went to when I started out, and yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier, if you guys, one way or the other, have been blessed with all what we've been sharing so far, share a testimony and let us know. Send us a DM and let us know what exactly you put into practice that has worked for you. And one other thing you guys should know is the fact that for most of these speakers, you could always send them maybe a DM for any questions you have. Just contact them. Make sure you go straight to your questions, and I'm sure they will be more than glad to answer you. Okay, so we have our first speaker. By 45 minutes time, we should have the second speaker, Mr. Mofe, and that will be moderated by Deshala. Okay, so I think is hello, boss.
Yeah. Hi.
Okay. I hope this internet will have mercy on us. Hope your internet is okay.
In fact, what I normally get to use, I don't know what's wrong with it, but let's see how this works out so far.
Oh, okay. How's business on your end?
Good, thank God.
Have you resumed from the lockdown? Are you going to work every day now, or you are still at home?
Well, the truth is that even during the lockdown, I was still working from home.
Oh, okay.
Then apart from that, immediately after the lockdown, I just went to the office once in a while. Like I've been to the office, then I came back home. And so the things that we do. I closed earlier, so people are not really like coming because everybody's afraid of. So
okay. So can you increase the volume a little bit because we're not hearing you very well.
Oh, to increase the volume, okay.
Or maybe raise your voice or whatever, so that we'll, Yes, we can hear you better now. Yes, yes.
Okay, good.
Okay. Yeah. So, first of all, who is Shea Body Lawson? Sounds like the name of a bodybuilder. I don't know. Can you just, give us a brief, of how you started photography? Because I know, like almost every other person, this is not what we studied in school. So, how come most people study something different in school and they come out and say, it's photography I want to do? Just, just briefly tell us your journey from school to now being a photographer.
Basically, I have a BSc Estate Management from University of Lagos, and also have a diploma in filmmaking from New York Film Academy in New York. And photography started out as a hobby about maybe 25 years ago, say maybe after secondary school. So that's how it started. So my dad gave me his camera. I used the camera for convocation or something like that. So after that, I tried different things. I tried being a horticulturist. I tried being an artist, So I did all those things. Yes, I was successful in those things, but I picked up the camera and one way or the other, it just turned into a passion. And before you knew it, I got recommended you know, from different people, and, you know, one thing led to the other. Got some little training with Don Baba, then the rest history. You know, it's always recommendation that will always make the difference. Take the time to really perfect your art, and even if you're in a hole, people will look for you. Really.
Okay, so how many weddings will you say? I think you are one of those that I could literally say I could point to that has covered so many weddings. How many weddings will you say you've been able to cover over the years?
Over the years, I think way over maybe 300 or something.
Wow,
In
wow,
fact,
wow.
a whole lot, like have hard drives of weddings and piles, and because in those days we used to shoot in film. You know,
Yeah.
we used to shoot. So I still have boxes and boxes and boxes of film. So that's a real lot.
But covering weddings maybe about 20 years ago and covering weddings today, with your own experience, what has been, you know, the difference? Because I know a wedding in 2000, you know, I don't know if it's different or the same than a wedding, you know, in 2020. And as a photographer, what has been the difference, apart from maybe using film? What's different now?
Well, not really much has changed. Probably the mannerism of people. That's the only thing that really has changed. Maybe in those days, people looked at photographers like, you guys don't know what you're doing. You are dropouts from school and things like that. But nowadays, people give a little bit more respect. But with that enlightenment, that gives more burden to photographers. People just call you that, you know, come and leave what you're officially supposed to be doing, come and attend to them. So you have to be polite in both ways. And nowadays, it's all about trying to be fast, trying to process your art fast enough and yet creatively. In those days, there's a little bit of time that for you to be able to do things. You have to develop the film. You have to go ahead and process it, do the albuming and lots of that. But nowadays, it's so instant. Once you take pictures at the wedding, you have got to literally go out there. In fact, probably some people now have to go and start sending up and publishing and posting the images of the wedding of that same day instantly. So that's a lot of stress, but you know, it only makes you to up your game and makes creativity better, tasking more. So it's different because over then, right, when we started, there wasn't really a proper structure. We really didn't know what to do. So it was like trial and error. But once we mastered it, started teaching people, and people started learning more. So it's the competition now. It's better because you've taught people, we've reached a particular stage, but now you are taking it to the next level. So that's exactly how it works out every time. So these days is more creative, is more tasking, and trying to outdo yourself.
Now, you know, following your brand over the years, I've noticed how you've been able to transition from not just actually taking pictures, but to actually running a photography school. Because I remember about 15 years ago when I was starting, I came to your school to make inquiries, and maybe the only reason that I actually didn't resume there was I couldn't afford the school fees, so I just had to start reading. But transitioning from running a photography business to running a photography school to filming, I don't know if you could maybe shed a little more light. What made you transition? Is it that, okay, there's no more weddings as much as before. What else can I do? Let me start the school. There's no more students as much as before. Let me maybe start filming. Could you share a little more light on how the transition, you know, came about and what motivated you?
Well, the truth about it is that the photography lineage, or should I say the activity, the scheme of work, literally will transcend from one thing to the other. Because filming is actually photography in motion. That's what filming is. Once you reduce and slow film down, what you'll be having is different frames of pictures put together. So it's just a transition. I'm one of those rare photographers that are very skilled in a larger genre of photography. So what I get to do is that I know food photography and all of those things, portraiture, weddings, and so I can teach. So I wanted to, from the start, what inspired me was the fact that people, when you're in school, you ask the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? People will say, oh, I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, another engineer. I looked at it, why don't
they grow up?
Yeah.
No, I was saying, I hope people still want to be doctors when they grow up.
Truthfully, I don't think so now. I'm not sure about that now, because that was what inspired me. I wanted people to be able to see photography as a profession. And I strive, that's what galvanized me. So I decided to change the perception. It doesn't take too many people to change the perception of an industry. What it does really is a few people that know exactly what they're going to do and what they want and have the dream, and they stick to it. That's exactly what makes all the difference. So I remember I decided that, look, I'm going to learn photography. I'm going to change photography in Nigeria. I'm going to put in my best so that the perception of photography will change, so that there will be people and students who, when they ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? They say, I want to be a photographer. I want to be a designer. I want to be a video director. I want to be a music producer. That was my inspiration. So what I kept doing was perfect my art. And I started branding very early, letting people understand that, look, you are a brand from the start. You are a brand to reckon with from the start, not just let's use the word, somebody that is just taking a picture. Yes, you are a brand from the start. Once you understand branding from the start, what happens is that you start tailoring everything as if you're a major international brand. The way you make your logo, everything you're carried. So once I understood that very well.
Photography.
Yeah, oh yes, of course, photography. I learned that from Don Barber. So when he said, you don't say photographer, photography. No. It's photography. That's the right pronunciation. A lot of times you need to get the right pronunciation to do all these things. So that's exactly how I started. And I started inspiring people. The way I dressed, the way I branded myself, I have customized jackets with my name branded. Who else will brand your outfit? You are in front taking pictures at a wedding and you're wearing a branded outfit, a jacket. In those days, they used to have this monkey jacket with AGFA, all those branded stuff, filmmakers at the back. I looked and said, look, what's wrong with you? Nigerians are very impressionistic and they always look at you based on how you present yourself. So if you dress well, and dress just like a groom, they wouldn't understand and say, look, is this guy a groomsman or who is he? They will not say that you're a photographer, because their mindset of a photographer is literally what? Somebody that just wears a monkey jacket and that's how it is. But once I started changing that, you found out that people started understanding that, oh, this guy is different. When I go to weddings and I go to events, you see the press start coming to me. You're different. You're a different person. They start interviewing me and I have a lot to say. Before you know it, one publication, I go on TV, I get interviewed on TV, I get interviewed on the dailies, newspaper, and all of those things. Then that's how your brand starts increasing. You can charge more and more and more. And as you go ahead, you start structuring things. And that's how I transcended to teaching photography. Then I saw that the future, I like to see things 10 years ahead. I saw that the future is still going to move to film and all of that. And technology will change. So it's not just a regular photography. So you have to learn to see the future 10 years ahead so that you always be relevant in whatever you do. That's how I translated to the school, and from the school as well. I'm still running the school all the way to filmmaking. That's why I went to New York to learn filmmaking and all of that. And that's how it pushed all the way to film. So film is the next thing, because as photography continues to develop, you find that more people see the difference between Nollywood and Hollywood is just director of photography. Let me tell you the truth. Because the way Hollywood would take a particular scene. You look at the scene and say, wow, epic. That's
even
your word.
Even if it's Oshodi, yeah.
Yes, even if you don't say, you see, you leave a cinema, and once you leave the test of a very good movie, once you leave the cinema, what can you remember? That can be something you can talk about. When you watch Nollywood movies, at least those ones nowadays, obviously, because of the things that we've done, more professionals are coming in and paying more attention to director of photography and photography concepts in Nollywood. That's the secret of it. That's what will make you totally different. Yes, the equipments are there, but how you present all of this. So filming is the next big thing.
Okay, so one thing I definitely learned from you over the years is that dressing part, because it has been a weakness of mine. You know, I remember many times I see how you package, especially with your bike. And you know, one day I'm still hoping when I grow up, I can get a bike. Anyways,
Oh yeah.
now one of the things I've noticed, and I don't ask many people this. One of the things I've noticed with many creatives is the fact that we are not good at balancing work with, you know, family. How has, and this one you have to be totally frank with us, how have you been able to, you know, balance, you know, your work with, because I know you have like, you know, 3 kids, and I know you celebrate, I mean, not many photographers put their spouse picture on their DP. I know many times you put your wife's picture and all that. For you, well, has there been any challenge maybe in the time past that you've had, you know, with family, and how did you balance it? Or is it that you use your wife's DP to bribe her by putting on your DP so that she will think you are thinking about her? Just share a little more light on that, because many of us need to learn on that area.
You know, the truth about it, there's no hard and fast rule about it. It's very simple. Keep the communication open. You know, and that's the truth. You're going for an event, bring the person involved in the event. Literally, if the person can't follow you, obviously you keep calling. If you're out of location, you make sure that you keep calling. Oh, hi, hello, how you doing? Is everything okay? What's going on? If you're traveling, you obviously make sure that you leave some money. You know, it's always like that. Anytime you're traveling out of location, you know, money is always quantified as a part of a man's life. That's how life is. So if you're going to leave the house for some time or travel for a while, I think you should leave some money down so that your presence will be there. So that's exactly how it is. And you keep calling. So that's exactly what I keep doing. You know, if I travel, I'll make sure that I call the house or the kids, how you guys doing? You know, make sure that things are still running. And obviously, no matter how it is, you spend time, even during the weekends or even on Sundays, even if, you know, you try at least one day, at least, if you're not even going to be around. Because it's amazing that it's at the flick of a finger, they can just call you and you're on the next flight to Abuja, you're on the next flight to Calabar, you know, things like that. So my wife has been able to understand that this is exactly the kind of life I've been living, because obviously I didn't start photography after marriage. I was way doing photography before I got married. So obviously she knows that this is it. So even as the kids came in, you know, you bring them in to have a session with her, photography. The kids love photography. So obviously some of them, they start taking pictures and things like that. So you get them involved. That's the secret of it. Keep an open communication. Marriages are going through a whole lot of problems these days. Yes, the financial part of it, yes. But the fact is that never shut the communication door, never. The very moment you shut that communication door, that's the end of the marriage, because you will say, look, I don't want to talk to her, you don't want to talk to her, and that's it. So you must always keep that communication open. Say hello, say good morning, send message. Even if she doesn't respond, continue doing it, continue diligent, because a man is a sacrificial being. He always sacrifices his life for the wife, for the family. So it doesn't matter who's wrong. So keep the communication open and always make sure that they have a tab of where you are, what you're doing, and get them involved as much as possible. And trust me,
if she was to, in your own opinion, if she was to rate you on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not too great, 10 being wonderful, perfect husband. What do you think she'll rate you?
There's not like perfect husband. She can rate me 5 because no matter how it is, I'm not around sometimes. I'm at work. And the fact about it is that one thing I know about my wife, she's very homely. Because she's homely. I'm not really homely. So it's just like that. So a lot of time I just make sure that I still just call her, and sometimes I take some days off, and just hang around, come home earlier. These days I've been coming home much earlier because the traffic, before the COVID lockdown. So the fact is that now I come home earlier. So we sit down, we talk. How's your day? How's everything? So that's how it is.
So let's get a little into filmmaking now. Translating from photography to filming. What are the top maybe 2 or 3 tips that you feel many of us that are just going into filming need to know? I know it might be difficult to summarize it all within 2 or 3 minutes, but and I know we could always still come to you if we want to learn more. But many of us right now, what we are doing now, this is filming in a way. What do you advise many photographers that are going to filming? What are the top 3 tips that you feel they need to know?
The very first tip I'll tell you from the very start, when it comes to estate management, they say location, 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 right? When they talk to websites and internet and all of that, they say what? Traffic, traffic, traffic.
Okay.
So, right? So when it comes to filmmaking, what he says, story, story, and story. It's all about your story. First of all, take the time to know what you want to communicate. It's your story that will first tell you, whether it's aerial photography, whether it's wedding photography, whatever. What are you trying to communicate? What's the story? What's the concept? Even if you're just going to just fly the drone, what are you trying to say about that? Because number one, story, story, story. Take the time to think about what you are trying to communicate to the audience or whosoever is going to listen or whosoever is going to watch. Take the time. Then the next thing is creativity and authenticity. Has it been done before? Okay. What you're about to do, the kind of style that you're going to do. Is it a signature? You always try and outdo yourself. You're only as good as your last job. It's not as, oh, I've been doing this like years. But what was your last job? How good? How did you execute it? You're only as good as your last job. So try and outdo yourself. Then the last one literally is about creativity. Okay. Doing exceedingly out of what people will actually expect. Thinking about the future, whereby 10 years down the line, will people still be talking about your film? Because that's why you take the time to build and make sure your story is tight. Make sure that you start doing some great photography when you're filming, because there are simple things, procedures for you to do filming. If you watch movies, it's like poetry. Filming is like poetry. It has to flow from one frame to the other frame, from one scene to the other scene. If you watch it properly, you have to go from a wide angle shot to a medium shot and then to a close-up. Then from there to a wide angle. When you want to emphasize emotions, you go from close-up, jump straight to close-up to tell the audience that be attentive, something is about to happen. So that's exactly how you do filming. When you're moving and you're trying to do your takes, you do your takes in literally 3 different angles. Literally, okay, wide angle, full shot, 3/4, portrait, and close-up.
So not like the Nollywood one that is just one, angle. They will just show everything.
You see, that's completely boring. Take a look at, when I go to the cinemas, right? I just don't go just to watch movies. I go to learn. When I see a great shot, you understand that, look, okay, let me use this example. When you watch, I think Fast and Furious, the one they did in Dubai,
Okay.
that was very, where the guy crashed the car from one building to the other. If you know, it was absolutely epic. The sun was setting, you know, and the stuff was going from one, and you saw there was a wide angle shot, a close-up shot, how you were, you know, those are things that you can't help but walk out of the cinema and keep saying, wow, wow, wow. That's exactly how photography and filming has to do. When you are actually, let's use the word, when you're even doing your photo book, it's the same thing. There's a story. There is the introduction, right? There is the main body, and then there is the conclusion. That's exactly the same way in film. There is the introduction of the characters, there is the main body, and then there's the conclusion. So it's the same thing that you have to do, whether it's aerial photography, whether it's filmmaking, whether it's anything, you have to tie all of those things together. And in between the body, you always have to push up areas of climax. You know, when you're making a photo book, you have to still put in very exciting moments within as you're arranging doing the photo book. So as the same thing, the same way you're doing filming, you have to, within the body, you have to push some climax. So the more climax you add in the movie, you find out that the movie will be a blockbuster. That's why when you look at the most rated movies, Avengers, Endgame, seriously, you have a combination of, people should study that movie, why it's a blockbuster. You have like 10, 20 movies in one. You have different characters. You have almost every scene is almost epic. You have all of these things all coming together within the same movie, you know? So you are living the movie almost every 5 minutes. There is something that, wow, 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 wow. Obviously, the writers are fantastic. And guess what? There is always a comedic part in that movie. That's what keeps you. So there's a human part makes you laugh. So it's not just the action. It's not just the drama. It's not just the science fiction, but it's the comedic part of it. So all of this filmmaking and photography always adds to it. So you have to get to learn more about all these things. When you're watching movies, you just don't watch movies and funny thing, when you now start thinking about, okay, let me just bring you back. I'm a Christian, I'm a born again Christian, and there's something that you have to understand. Anytime I watch a movie, I like to understand what it is. If you look at Black Panther, right? I'm a Marvel fan. Take a look at Black Panther. That's what is called the death, burial, and the resurrection. Whenever they did the Black Panther, when he took the stuff, what did they do? They buried him. They quickly put him in, they buried him, and he went to go and see his father to the other side. Then after that, he resurrected, and who is that? That's, a lot of times movies are always tailored. They get their strength from the Bible. So a lot of times you should always
like the Matrix. You know the Matrix, talking about Zion, Jerusalem.
Oh yes. So I found out that you see, a lot of times, yes, the Bible is always, no matter what, the Bible, the Word of God is there for the world. It's not just for Christians. If you use the things of the Bible, you will prosper, period. It doesn't matter whether you are left, right, because the Word of God is the Word of God and His life. So that's exactly how it is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it is. Go and ask Dubai now. Dubai, but they are doing the same thing that the Bible says. Take care of your people, and what? God will bless you, period. Here in Nigeria, they unfortunately, they tend to be taking care of things that are under rather than things that are on top. So it's very simple. Once you care about the people, you will find out that automatically things will begin to work out for you. So it's just like that.
So when should we look out for your own version of Avengers Endgame coming out? Sometimes it's easier for many people to say, Nollywood is doing terrible. What are they doing? But, we should start doing new things to replace, because overall, we can agree that Nollywood today is better than at least 10 years
Yes,
ago.
yes.
It's getting, so when should we look out for your own, you know, movie?
Very soon, very soon,
very soon.
very soon, because I'm working on short. I'm going to start with documentaries and short movies. Okay. I'm actually supplying a lot of, I'm supplying people with what they call it, drone images of Lagos and all sorts of, you know, places in Nigeria. So that's part of the thing. So that, because once you have very good footages that you can interject, right, you'll find out that adding aerial footages to a movie gives the movie a whole different tone. So that's what I'm supplying, a lot of that. So I'm going to be coming up with some reality shows. I'm going to be coming up with some website. I'm going to be coming up with some short movies, coming up with some documentaries, and that's how it is. And as time goes on, the movie will come up. You know, that's exactly, it's a progressive thing. And you know, one thing for sure is that people jump too early. It's not good to jump too early. I like to take my time, perfect my trade, yeah, and move. You know, it's not good for you to jump too early, prematurely. Whatever you're doing, perfect it. I've always been a proponent of specialization. Right from the very start, I looked at specialization as the future of Nigerian photography, whereby I want people to specialize. Baby photography, specialize in weddings, specialize in what they call it, food photography, insect, wildlife photography, all sorts of photography. Because photography in Nigeria has not even been scratched. You know, I'm working on some projects. I don't want to say too much now, but once it's time, it will come up. But one thing I want people to know is that you have to keep working and working and work on your own projects. Even if you are a wedding photographer, what is your project? What art? The COVID-19 has put a lot of people on a strain, lockdown. But the truth is that this is a time where people will start thinking about their own projects. Start doing your own projects, start writing your book. I know you've written some, you have a whole lot of, I have to give it to you with your write-ups. Fantastic. So these are times where people have to get in, start doing your own projects, start preparing for your own projects, start taking pictures for the future. Stock photography is key. When you pass on or anything that happens, what exactly do you have for your children? That's the truth about it. You have to start, once you start early, understanding the fact that life continues to go on and you have to leave a legacy. That's the main thing you always have to do. Whether it's, Uncle Don Barber told me something. The very moment you forget about your art, you're going to be in trouble. When that means that once you start making money and you forget about your art, you're going to get into a lot of trouble. Because at a point in time, what happens? There will be somebody that's going to be better than you. A younger person that's going to be better than you. Then what will happen? At that time, well, you'll be struggling with them. Probably you now start reducing your price, or what exactly. But once you start doing your art, you'll find that at the point, even if you're a wedding photographer, begin to document things that you can write a book about. Begin to do projects that you can publish a book. Begin to do things that at the end of the time where you can't walk. For instance, now, look, as I told you, even while people were on lockdown, I've been working. I've been getting some jobs, editing some videos, working on a project I've been on for quite some time now. It will soon be revealed. So you see, these are things that people need to understand, that your art is extremely important. Do your projects, do your art, do what you want.
And we should not be waiting for clients to hire us.
No,
we should hire ourselves first.
Yes. You see, it's the same thought that I had from the very beginning. Very same thought that made a lot of people see this industry and say, oh, look at this industry. Yeah, they're making money, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million. Yes. They did not know the people of what we went through to build this industry. The zeal, the desires, all the things that we took. That's the same thing. When you look at the future and you see the future and say, look, I want the future to be XYZ. That's exactly how it's going to be like. Once you plan for the future, you find out that what the things that you envisage as time goes on, they will come to fruition. That's exactly how it is. So I'm telling people that, look, specialize, begin to do your work, begin to get stock photography, begin to get things so that that will be your pension plan. Because you, as a photographer, you need to have a pension plan. And your images are critical and very important. It amazes me how I see people will just publish their pictures like without any watermark, you know, and you find out that once your images go out, that's it. You can't take it back. People don't understand that Facebook, Instagram, and all of that, they have a policy that once you publish any picture on their platform, you literally don't have a quote right to it. People don't know that. I think you need to go back and read
the
terms. The fine print. Yes, read the terms. So you have to be careful. And people say, hey, don't worry, I'll just sue them. I'll just tell you that, oh, you will sue them, no problem. Have you ever been in a legal battle before? Do you know how long it takes? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Do you have the money to support that? Do you have the, you know, when you say you want to sue, they'll just say that, okay, sue now. And, you know, they'll just drag the case for 2 years. Do you have the strength to be dragging case for 2 years, 3 years? Do you have all of that? So why don't you prevent it by watermarking your images from the start? If people look at your images, yes, use there. You have your logo, register your logo, trademark your logo, all of that, so that when anybody comes, picks it up, they'll see that, oh, this logo is already there. Do you understand? Once they see that the logo is already there, they can't use your images. What they get to do is that if they want those images, they know where to get you, and they will pay you for that. And that's the truth. They will pay you for that image. If they want to use the image, they will pay you. And that's exactly your pension plan. Once you throw out your images all over the place without any watermark, somebody else that is wiser, the original owners of the picture that are wiser than you, will take it and go and make money with it elsewhere. So, you know, those are the things that you need to understand, that your pension plan is your images. You'll have to guard your images, watermark, trademark your logos, make sure that your images have those watermarks on them, and don't ever forget your pension plan, and specialize. That's key.
Okay, so, you know, there are just two points I need to probably raise. The first is, what maybe 2 lessons you've learned so far being specializing in drone? Because now when I see the Shape or the Lawson brand, what I see a lot is, you know, drone coverage of different parts of Lagos and Nigeria. And then maybe the last, you know, because we have just 3 minutes more, the last being whatever, you know, last points you want to share to especially upcoming photographers, because the industry is about to get flooded with a lot of people, both young and old, because of lack of job, are about to flood this industry. What advice do you have for them, and what lessons, what 1 or 2 lessons have you learned flying drones in Nigeria?
Oh, basically, flying a drone, literally, if you want to get, there are some things that you obviously have to get. You have to try and register with NCAA. Just be on the safe side. Just go to NCAA towards the airport, local airport, or just Google and find out about them. Try and register your drone and things like that, so that no matter what happens, wherever anybody takes you, literally you just, you know, you just get to register with NCAA. Then the next thing is that you have to understand, just the same way I said, story, 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 however you're doing it, you have to work out your image. Whatever you're taking drone images, be safe always. Before you take off, look for a great location. Before you go anywhere, scout the location, find out exactly what time, you know, when the sun is rising, the sun is setting. It depends on how you want to do it. If you want to take pictures, it's good to take pictures early in the morning, late in the evening, so that you can get golden hour. Golden hour depends on the time of the year, depends on probably from about 6:30 to about 7:30. Depends on what time of the year it is, you know. So it's always fantastic. Even if you want to take night images, always try and aim for golden hour. A lot of times when you want to do aerial photography as well, and you need to hide, so at 12 o'clock, 12 noon, it's also a great time. When you're filming, right, in aerial shots, you have to be able to look. Always make it fluid, because whosoever is looking at your footages, they want to assimilate the images and enjoy the footage. So it's always very good. Make it smooth, make it slow. You can always speed it up in post-production. You make it smooth, make it really nice, and make it epic. So you have to learn to be able to scout some of these locations, maybe use Google Map to know where the sun is rising, sun is setting, and all of the things. So you have to be able to look, and wherever you're going to go, make sure that that place has a lot of color and has a lot of vibrancy, has a lot of structure, has a lot of things. And always use your eye. Make sure, look at my own footages, look at my own images, look at other drone people's images, and see if you can combine and take it to the next level. And a lot of times now in life, there is something that I always want everyone to know. No matter what it is, specialize. As you're coming on board into photography, learn. The market is really flooded, so you have to learn to specialize. What do you want to do? You want to do food photography, you want to do weddings, you want to do stock photography. There is a need for stock photography. I'm telling you, because there are many times people just want stock that they can buy, and that stock can always fetch you money over the years. So you should go into art, landscape. There's landscape photography, aerial photography. There is what they call it, architectural photography. There is baby photography, all sorts. Try to specialize. And always, 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 your images must be able to stand the test of time. And must always, and no matter what you do, understand branding early. You are a brand. So as you're coming into photography, don't take a look and say, oh, I don't have any job to do, blah, 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 blah. Always come in if you want to do it. Always get proper training. We run a school of Boston School of Photography, so you can come so that you can train you properly. Then will teach you and show you, like, okay, these are all the things that you have. Genres of photography. Choose one. And when you choose, you specialize in it. That's exactly the problem in Nigeria. Nigeria, people go to university and do what? Do courses, and at the end of the day, they come out and they don't know, they end up doing other courses. I went to university. What did I do? I did estate management. But yet, I'm not practicing estate management, but I'm doing a lot of architectural photography. Combining estate management, because when I sit down in front of a board and I want to defend my bill, I tell them, I start talking about estate management terminologies and architectural terminologies. I look at it from an architectural point of view and an estate point of view, and they look at it that, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. Because for instance now, you want me to photograph properties for, what they call it, for property companies. I know estate management. I know what people are looking for to do. So whatever it is that your background's profession or what you learned in school, combine it. If you're a doctor, combine it. Begin to take microscopic photography. You know, these are things that people haven't even scratched that yet. There are so many. This COVID virus time, you go around, document the health sector, document the health sector, and begin to do, afterwards, you do an exhibition. So always the advice I would say is start branding early. Make sure that you have a plan and stick to your plan. Make sure your images and your footages can stand the test of time. And then, no matter what it is, you must make sure that you have a pension plan. Your photography, your footage, you must put them together so that 10 years down the line, you are you can document barbers over the years, barbing salons over the years. You can document traffic signs, billboard signs. You document the fishing industry, or you document the entertainment industry. I'm even giving people tips. I will give you tips free. It's really cool. You can even start. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me just give this one.
Help us write your photography school details there so that people can, you know, contact you even while watching this video later on. Because our time is basically up now and we need to bring in the next speaker. So the school is still in, right? The photography school.
Yes, School of Photography, but Lawson School of Photography.
Okay. So we'll definitely, you know, so I've learned in one thing I've taken out of this is that I am not just a photographer, I am a brand. You know, that's, I think that's summary of it. And then I should start, you know, having a plan for my pension because I didn't plan for that before. But since the government will take care of me, let me start planning for myself. So, you know, thanks so much, Shei Lawson. I really, really learned a lot and I appreciate this. And I'm sure many people watching also learned, you know. So I think that's it, you know, for this session for today. I will probably talk another time.
Yes.
Thanks.
That's really cool. Thank you. Thank you.
So hope you guys, you know, learned one or two things from there where, you know, we've spent quite a lot of time on that one. Next speaker is waiting anxiously. So I'm about to sign up from this session. What I'll advise is for you to quickly go and refill your cup of water, you know, because the next 40 to 60 minutes, it's going to be loaded. You know, I'm going to sit down as a student and watch and learn from, you know, Mofe. She's doing well, and you know, I can't wait for it. Okay, so like I said earlier, if there's anything that, you know, you've learned from all these sessions, please feel free to share your testimony. Send us a DM. We really need the encouragement. We need to collect all the testimonies. Okay, so you guys should not go anywhere. Hang in there, and the next 60 seconds, we should, you know, come back with the new speaker we have, Mofe. Okay, enjoy.